What's good, everyone? My name is Magna, and welcome back to Phantom Forces Gun Breakdowns, where I give a full-blown analysis of every gun in the game from rank 0 and onward. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the infamous rank 9 PDW, the MP7. This weapon has a very long history, going from one of the worst PDWs in the game to becoming the very best. But as of now, where does it sit amongst the current meta? That is what we will answer in today's video. But if you haven't seen the previous episode, click on the top right corner, or else your mom is a... could you think of something better? But if you're new here, thanks for joining me. But with all that being said, let's get into the breakdown, yeah? So of course, starting with some fun facts, the MP7 is a German PDW that was first created in 2001. This weapon was created with armor piercing in mind, as it fires the unique 4.6x30mm cartridge. The MP7 was also created as a direct competitor to the P90, which at the time was FN's answer to an armor piercing weapon. And during the time, NATO was looking for a manufacturer to create a compact weapon with armor penetration capabilities, and the MP7 and P90 were the only two weapons developed to directly compete with each other. The MP7 ended up being selected by NATO as the design was more simple and compact and was overall more reliable than the P90. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. But now let's get into the in-game stats. So the MP7 is just unlocked at rank 9, and it does 30 damage out to 50 studs and down to 17 damage out to 120 studs, making it a 4 to a 6 shot kill. But it does have a torso multi of 1.1, although it doesn't matter because the shots to kill will still be the same. Overall, this damage is much lower compared to most PDWs in this game, but it does have other stats that make up for that. The magazine size is 30, which is average for most guns. The fire rate though is 950 RPM, which is very fast, but still not as fast as other weapons of this class, like the Mac 10 or the Chris Vector. But now moving on to the advanced stats, the muzzle velocity sits at 2400, which is super good for a PDW. In fact, the G36C, the P90, and the AK-74U all share this trait of high muzzle velocity, which makes them very unique, almost creating an SMG carbine subclass in a way. Penetration depth is 1, which is the same as the G36C, and I feel like this stat was changed, as this is advertised as an armor-piercing weapon, yet I kind of expected a bit more. As far as the handling goes though, the reload times are a 1.9 second tactical reload and a 2.6 second empty reload, which is pretty fast. The ADS and the walk speed are also excellent, as in the huge PDW revamp update, the MP7 was given significantly higher handling stats, which is great to see. And now on to the recoil, and while the MP7 generally does have good recoil, it does have a strange pattern to it. As you can see in the weapon menu, it rises up and then does this weird horizontal curve and stays there. Now when you use it in game, you can't really tell that it's there, but I just find that kind of interesting. But if you're wondering what works well on this, what I like to use is the coyote sight or any other optic, the compensator, the sideways grip, and the green laser or the extended mag. Now, since there are actually no conversions for this weapon, the only two special attachments I recommend using are AP or the extended mag I mentioned earlier. AP will further increase that decent penetration the MP7 already has, with no impact to damage values. The extended mag is great, as you get 40 rounds instead of 30, at the very little cost of less reserve ammo. But yeah, the MP7 is a pretty straightforward weapon, and you could easily rock it with no attachments if you wanted to. But as far as how you should use the MP7, it gets a little weird with this one. Of course it works best in close range, as all PDWs do, but because of its oddly high muzzle velocity, it can be used at medium ranges, although your damage output will be very poor. And that's what's the weird thing about this weapon, because its damage is not that high, yet it has long range potential and also rifle-like penetration, so it sucks and also doesn't suck at long range, if you know what I mean. Another thing too is that the biggest strength of this weapon is its high fire rate of 950 RPM, but it's also a big weakness because the fire rate makes up for the low damage, which you could easily destroy people in CQC, but you also gotta be wary of your ammo because those 30 rounds could get used very fast. Luckily reloading doesn't take long at all, but still. The MP7 is a fast gun in most aspects, but at the same time it's quite weak, so using its fast fire rate and handling to your advantage is key, as perhaps in 1v1 situations this weapon does really shine, but against groups you should probably pick another weapon because you won't be mowing down hordes with this thing. So for my overall opinion though, I'm kinda mixed on the MP7. I really do like the fast fire rate and the high muzzle velocity, but I feel like it should have more pen by default. Plus it just sucks so much at long range, and even in close range, weapons like the UMP and the MAC-10 can just do it better. Before the spring update, which was the huge PDW revamp, the MP7 was actually pretty awful, and this spring update gave it some significant buffs. And while most of these changes have stayed, it also got some nerfs afterwards. The two biggest things that might have killed it though were the lower min damage changes and also the torso multi being lowered to 1.1, as before it had a 1.15 torso multi, which could actually give it a 3 to a 5 shot kill, but now it's a 4 to a 6 shot. And because of that, I can see now that a lot of people have stopped using the MP7. And was this a good thing? In some ways, yes, but now a ton of people will just see the MP7 as a shell of its former self, and it will continue to gather dust in the player's weapon menu. So in its current state, I'll give the MP7 a 6 out of 10. It's not unusable trash, but if you're going to lower the damage, you pretty much have to use the extended mag to increase your survival time. But yeah, quite unfortunate what has happened to it, but don't let this deter you from using it if you want to, because I think you can still perform well despite these changes. But that's gonna wrap up this episode. Feel free to drop a like and sub to the channel, and let me know your guys' thoughts on the MP7 down in the comments. But thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.